Hi, I'm Lesley Koehnen of Village Health. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be doing some stretching with the Magic Circle, one of my favorite things to do with all of my clients. And I really do prefer the Pilates Magic Circle to some of the stretch out straps and TheraBands because I feel like it's easier to hold with my hands. So if you really struggle with kind of holding on to some of those straps or bands with your hands, I really prefer the Magic Circle. I think it just does wonders. So before we get started, just like anything new you're starting, adding exercise or stretching, you want to consult with your doctor or physician first. So for today, you will need a Pilates Magic Circle, and you'll need a pillow if you tend to have forward head posture to make sure that your head is in line with the rest of your spine. Go ahead, find a place to lie down. And you're going to lie down on your back using that pillow if you need it. If not, you can set it to the side. And you're going to grab your circle. And first, we're going to just start with both legs straight up. So you're going to hold the circle with the pads on the sides. You're going to place the balls of your feet into the ring of the circle, not the arches, the balls of the feet. And you're going to stretch those legs up. Now, when you're here, you want to keep your head, neck, and shoulders in a nice alignment. Sometimes when people start to stretch or work with the circle in this way, they start to roll their shoulders up or roll their shoulders forward. But you just want to remember to kind of keep your head, neck, and shoulders relaxed. Keep those shoulders kind of back and down. And as you're here, just noticing, how does your mid-back feel? How does your low back feel as you're just having your legs straight up here? Now, another thing I like to do is to inhale, flex. And exhale, press to the balls of my feet to point. Inhale, flex, and exhale, point. I kind of think of this like a nice little pump because I'm pumping the fluids that kind of collect in my lower legs during the day from sitting or standing for long periods of time. I'm pumping all that good fluid back up my body. So that's your blood, that's your lymph. So this helps with immunity as well. Putting your legs up like this helps with immunity, but also flexing and pointing and using those muscles of the lower legs to kind of contract and pump those fluids back up to the rest of your body. So this is always a great place to start or end. And I always breathe, so I inhale as I flex and I exhale as I point. I inhale through the nose always, and then I exhale through my nose or mouth depending on how I'm feeling. Now let's move into just a single leg hamstring stretch. So you're going to turn that circle quarter of the way and put the right ball of foot into the pad now. You're going to put your left foot down. Now, if you tend to be really tight in your hamstring, you're going to want to keep that left knee bent. If you're not too tight, if you're pretty flexible, you're going to extend that left leg straight. Okay? So choose between having that left leg bent or left leg straight. Either way, you're stretching through the back of that hamstring. Now, once you're here, you can flex and point again to think of that pumping action, pumping that fluid back up. Or you can just hold, or you can kind of bend and take a break and stretch up. So when you're doing stretches like this, you kind of want to listen to your body. Does it feel good to kind of move through the stretches, or does it feel good to just hold the stretches? Now, to take this stretch a little deeper, especially if you tend to be a little more flexible, with your left leg straight, you want to make sure that your tail is down. Because sometimes when we bring our one leg up into the air like this, we press our lower spine into the mat. So what you want to do is try to drop your tailbone down slightly so that your pelvis is more level. So you're not tucking your tailbone and your pubic bone up. You're keeping your tailbone and pubic bone level. Now, also, this is where your right sitting bone is, the bones that you sit on. That's why they're called the sitting bones. You want to stretch that right sitting bone towards your left inner ankle. Because sometimes with our right leg up, we hike the hip up as well, but we want to stretch that hip down. So you want to think of stretching that right sitting bone down towards that left inner ankle. Now, from this place, whether your left leg is bent or straight, we're going to move into an inner thigh stretch. Your right hand and your right foot are in the circle. You're just going to bring your left arm down out to the side with the palm up. You're going to have a little bend in that right elbow. And you're going to take that right leg to the right and just stretch that inner thigh. Now, once again, if it feels good to just hang out here and stretch, do that. Otherwise, you can go between hamstring stretch and inner thigh adductor stretch. So you can move between like a wave or just hold. Good. And then the other option here is to get at those abductors, the IT band, the outer thigh muscles. So you're going to switch your hands, bring this arm down, and take that leg across your midline. Now, I'm of the thought that you don't want to take it across the midline and roll your hips up off the mat. I like to keep this hip down on the mat because I feel the stretch a lot more if I think of keeping this hip down and going across, then I really feel that stretch. Now again, if it feels good to just hold the stretch, do it. Otherwise, experiment with going hamstring stretch, IT band stretch, hamstring stretch, IT band stretch, and just remember to breathe. And again, these can all be done with that left leg a little bent too, especially if you're really, really tight. Let's go ahead and practice the second side. You can always spend more time on any of these stretches that you need. So putting the left ball of foot into the circle, having that right foot propped up or straight, depending on how you're feeling. And again, you can just hold the stretch. You can flex and point while you're in the hamstring stretch, or you can bend the knee in and stretch it up. Now remember, as you're doing this, don't tighten up through the head, neck, and shoulders. Keep the head, neck, and shoulders pretty relaxed as you take some time with that left hamstring. Now, if you warm up that left hamstring, this is the time where we think about, oh, am I pressing my lower back? Am I tucked in my hips? You want to drop that tailbone and pubic bone down, and then you want to stretch that left sitting bone towards your right inner ankle so that you're not hiking up in that hip. So think of stretching that left sitting bone towards that right inner ankle to get an even deeper stretch. And then left hand and left foot in the circle, the right arm can take a break and bend that left elbow just a little. As you take that left leg out to the left to get at that adductor, that inner thigh. And if it feels good to stay there, stay there. Otherwise, you can practice kind of coming up to hamstring and out to an inner thigh stretch. So this is about listening to your body and kind of moving through these stretches as it feels good to you. Now, if this is pretty flexible and you want to switch to that IT band, just switch your hands and switch that IT band, that abductor, and go across the midline. And remember, I'm in the school of thought where I like to keep that left hip down, because when I keep my left hip down, my left glute on the mat and bring that left leg across my midline, I really do feel the stretch. And once again, you can take that leg across your midline and just hold it and breathe. Or you can move a little bit. You could even move and make it bigger and go from inner thigh through the hamstring stretch to the outer thigh. So just kind of listen to your body. How does your body like to move? So go ahead and keep staying on that left leg a little longer, however it feels good to you. Just remember, when you're working with the circle and when we're holding on to it, sometimes we tend to get into our neck and shoulders. And you want to try to relax through the head, neck, and shoulders. And keep those shoulders back and down. So it's always a good place to keep thinking about your Pilates posture and where should your shoulder girdle be when you're working, even though we're stretching the legs, because it's kind of funny that sometimes when we're working on the lower body, the upper body wants to get involved. And so just being mindful of what's going on in your body as you're doing these stretches. I hope this helped open up your hips. I hope through the experimenting and exploring, you recognize if you like to just sit and hold a stretch, or if you kind of like to move through it, kind of listening to what does your body respond to? What helps you open up a little bit? And then also remember that putting your legs up, both legs up at the same time, really helps with our immunity. And it's really like a great rest position for our low back if you tend to have low back issues. And also, when we tend to have tight legs, whether it's hamstrings, inner thighs, or outer thighs, when we tend to have those tighter leg muscles, that feeds in to chronic low back pain at times. So sometimes we think our back pain is from weak core muscles or whatever else you might think your low back pain is coming from, but sometimes it is coming from the legs being tight. So this can be a great way to start working towards that. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day.